2021 information session for the Community Action Groups. My name is Nasma Ashraf, and I am a Community Action Groups assistant currently working with the Center for Community Partnerships. I'm also joined here with Elio and Yin, who are also work study students at the CCP. I wanted to start off by saying thank you for your interest in this program, as we would not be able to do this without you. So we wanted to begin with a land acknowledgement. Though we are not all on the University of Toronto property currently, I wanted to acknowledge the lands that we are all connected through, as the Center for Community Partnerships does operate under the University of Toronto. So I wish to acknowledge the land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently the Mississaugas of the Credit River. Today, this place we're connected through is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are so grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. I would also want to encourage you to use this link in this slide to check the traditional territories and treaties of the land that you are currently occupying, which would help in our awareness of our presence on this land. And so I'm going to take an intentional pause here just to acknowledge the lands that we are currently occupying and the land that the University of Toronto operates on, which we are all connected through. Okay, thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome to CAG's Winter Info Session. This is Yin and I'm one of the Community Action Group's CAG's CAGS assistants with NASMA this year at the Center for Community Partnerships. We will support you during the program if you have any questions or concerns. Let's begin with our agenda on this slide. NASMA will first introduce our reasons of making this video for you. Then she will introduce CAGS and how it will work this winter. After that, both she and I will describe the roles and responsibilities of group facilitators and group members so you can be familiar with who you will work with in the program. Elio, the workshop assistant, will also provide more details with the program timetable to help you keep track of tasks structured in the program. They will also introduce you to the Experiential Learning EL module, which will be the platform for group members to enroll in select groups based on a challenge identified by a community partner. Finally, I will discuss how to work with community partners and tackle their challenges, and we will conclude with the next steps ahead.
Okay. So before we dive into what you need to know about the Community Action Groups program, I wanted to start by taking a moment to clarify the intention behind this program's information session, as well as give you a minute to set your intentions for why you are spending time watching this information session. In terms of our intention, we're doing this asynchronous information session in order to allow you to pause, rewind, and come back to this session later. And we recommend that you use this session as a resource to support your success in this program and to help you decide if you want to take part in this initiative. So now I'm just going to take another intentional pause to let you all be mindful of why it is that you are spending your time watching this information session. What are your intentions for being a part of this program? What do you hope to get out of this? Okay, thank you. So now for the million-dollar question you've all been waiting for. What really is Community Action Groups about? The CAGS program was actually piloted in summer 2020 and has returned new and improved. So for those of you who joined us in the summer, welcome back. This program began with the intention of bringing students together to support community organizations with questions they might have or challenges that these organizations might be facing. So this program matches U of T students with nonprofit and public sector organizations to address community identified priorities through volunteer work. Community action groups are supported by a group facilitator who facilitates group meetings and works with group members to ensure that group goals and deadlines are all being met. The CAG program also has built-in training on topics such as accessibility and access-based community development, which aids students' development and of the program. And in terms of some logistics, each group will have about 8 to 10 students who will collaborate together over the span of 8 weeks in winter 2021 in order to develop a plan to assist with a community identified question or activity. Also, please note that this program will be held remotely for the winter 2021 session in order to abide by the Ontario health regulations. So below here, at the bottom of the slide, there is a testimony from a former CAG participant who talked about how her major takeaway is that even with a small change or effort, there can be a huge impact on many people, especially during this pandemic. And while trying to help others, we can also help ourselves as the learning experience impacts both creators as well as the target population. So yeah, that's just a little testimony from a former CAG participant. Okay, so I'm going to introduce to you our team who is currently working together to ensure that CAGs are a success, along with introducing our job so that you know who your point of contact would be if you do have any questions or concerns along the way. So first and foremost, we have Linique Wilson, who is the co-curricular learning coordinator at the CCP. Linique is literally the powerhouse of CAGs, just like the way the mitochondria is the powerhouse of a cell. Okay, if that was a bad joke, you can just ignore that. She ensures that CAGs are running smoothly and takes care of the larger logistics of the Community Action Groups program. Then we have Katie Thompson, who is also a co-curricular learning coordinator who is working with the Community Action Groups on many of the program development elements. And however, your main point of contact between Katie and Linique would be Linique because Katie is more concentrated on community action projects. Then we have Yin and I, Nasma, who are CAG assistants. So we are your first points of contact if you have any questions or concerns about the Community Action Groups program. Our job is to support CAG members and facilitators in order to ensure that you are having the best experience possible, and we would love to assist or support you in any way that we can. So do feel free to give us a shout anytime you feel like you need extra support, resources, or even to rant. I think it's worth mentioning also that I myself participated in the Community Action Groups program in the summer, and I was a CAG facilitator. So I do have relevant experience with community action groups, which is why I encourage you all to come talk to me whenever. And last but not least, we have Elio, who is our workshops assistant. Elio helps create workshops alongside the CCP, so they are also very vital to our team. Okay, so you all might be wondering now, what exactly does the community question look like, which we will aid communities in solving? Well, here's an example of a question you might get, which you'll have to come up with a proposal and an action item. Perhaps the community might ask, how can I promote resources, services, and programs more widely within my community during this pandemic? An example of an action item you can come up with in order to support this community organization would be for your group to conduct secondary research, for example, on best practices for creating accessible resources for the aforementioned community. Now, this example is just one idea of an action item, and there are many other examples of action items that can happen for this specific community question. And so as a small exercise, just to see if everyone's following along, I would like everyone to just take a short pause in this video and to think about what a potential action item would look like in this particular situation. Now, please keep in mind that when it does come to action items, we do prefer to minimize how much we ask of our community partners, just in order to encourage alternate ways of finding the answer without having to heavily rely on the communities that we are partnering with. So I'm just going to take a pause here for you guys to think of a solution, not really a solution, sorry, a potential action item. Okay, thank you.
On this slide, I will briefly outline the program and its steps of completion for you. There are a few steps to complete before you can receive a co-curricular record for your involvement. I want to congratulate all of you because you have already completed the first step, which is watching this information session. Then you will need to attend one of the 4 mandatory equity and working with communities sessions. In these sessions, we will specifically explore the concept of assets-based community development, ABCD, go over accessibility principles, and understand the current context of COVID-19 and how it affects community partners. You will also need to select your group based on community partner identified challenge using the EL module by January 22nd, 2021. Once you select your group, you will attend weekly group meetings hosted by your group facilitator to tackle these challenges. Alongside your weekly meetings, there will also be professional development opportunities and events that might be scheduled outside of these meetings for you to attend. In the midpoint of the program during the weeks of March 1st to 5th or 8th to 12th, a CCP staff will reach out to you and schedule a mandatory check-in meeting with you to understand how we can support you. By the end of the program, you will share your project with community partner to help them answer their question. Finally, you will just need to attend a reflection event and submit a survey about your experience to complete the program. You might be wondering what CCR is. It is an official document that recognizes your co-curricular involvement both on and off campus. CAGS is one of the programs that can provide CCR recognition with students who will complete all of the steps mentioned before.
Great, thank you, Yin. So in the next 2 slides, Yin and I will go into depth about the responsibilities and roles of group facilitators and group members. I'll start off first with group facilitators. So now I know this might look a little bit overwhelming because there's a lot of words, but I promise you as a former group facilitator, it is actually a very fun and rewarding experience, so do not worry. And so starting off, group facilitators must facilitate weekly group meetings in order to ensure that all members have the space to share their ideas, questions, or concerns. Group facilitators are also expected to contribute to discussions around equity, diversity, inclusion, and access within their groups. Also, conversation guides will be available to group facilitators soon in order to help guide these conversations you will be having. And then during meetings, group facilitators are also expected to manage attendance and do minute-taking responsibilities, prepare for meeting agendas if desired, and keep the meeting on track in order to ensure that they start and finish as scheduled. Group facilitators must also uphold group guidelines, which will be decided on in the first meeting by all of the group members collectively. And at weekly group facilitator meetings, which will be held for group facilitators, each facilitator must report to their groups about their group's progress of their proposal and action plan to the program coordinators, so myself, Yin, and Lini. Group facilitators are expected to be present at all meetings and the project presentation and reflection event if possible. They're also required to attend a mandatory check-in once during the program in order to check in on their potential proposal or action item. In the occasion where an action item might bring group costs in terms of money or funding, group facilitators may support the handling of small amounts of funds and collecting receipts. And they should also be addressing questions and concerns of group members in an equitable manner throughout the duration of the CAG project. And last but not least, they might need to do other tasks assigned as required if they do come up during the duration of the project.
On this slide, I will introduce roles and responsibilities of group member in this program. As outlined here, group members provide integral support to a project collectively envisioned within the group. They will collaborate with each other and bring their expertise from different fields into their project to make it more accessible and impactful for their affiliated community partner. Further, they also have various opportunities to attend professional training workshops and network panels during the Reading Week, which is February 15th to 19th, 2021, to gain knowledge in community engagement, program planning, goal setting, public speaking, and group dynamics. Please also note that this description might change as project evolves. Now, I would like to invite you all to pause here and imagine what it will be like to be a group member. Have you had similar experience before? If so, what made or could have made that experience a positive one for you? Let's begin now. Thank you, everyone. Let's move on.
Okay, so I just wanted to break down the tasks which illustrate the time commitment for the group facilitator role. I also want to note that this chart is just an example of an estimated time commitment, and in reality, every experience will be different. So some individuals might take more time while others might take less. It really depends on the context. So for the information session, as well as the equity and working with community session, we are predicting it would take about 3.5 hours. For the weekly meetings, which are usually about an hour and a half, multiplied by 8 weeks, that would be a total of 12 hours. And then in terms of the group facilitator weekly meetings, that would approximately take 8 hours in total throughout the 8 weeks. And I also wanted to reiterate that there will likely be work outside of meetings to do. It's not anything overwhelming, but I just thought I would make note of that in case there was an assumption that there's only CAG work being done during the CAG meetings. And the professional development and training sessions we plan on having later on in the program will be about an hour. And last but not least, the reflection and presentation event, which I'm already excited for, will be about 2 hours. We've also allocated time towards miscellaneous activities, so that could take about 2 hours. And then in total, that's 46.5 hours over the span of 8 weeks. And it might seem like a lot, but trust me, time flies when you're having fun. So the group member time commitment is shorter because there's less time in formal meetings allocated towards members. For the information session and equity and working with community session, we are predicting it would take about 2 hours total. The weekly meetings that you will attend will in total take about 12 hours. And just like group facilitators, group members are also expected to be doing work outside of their meeting times, which would take around 8 hours in total for the 8 weeks. So that's not too much at all. It's just about an hour per week. And group members will also be required to attend professional development and training sessions, which will be about an hour. And so the presentation and reflection event will be about an hour. No, I think 2 hours. Yeah. So similar to group facilitators, we also have left about an hour for miscellaneous activities. And in total, it would be 26 hours throughout the 8 weeks for group members. Once again, I wanted to reiterate that this chart is just an example of an estimated time commitment. And in reality, every experience will be different ultimately. Some individuals might take more time, while other individuals might take less time. It really just depends on the context.
Hi, I'm Elio, and I'm the workshop assistant at the CCP, and today I'm going to guide you through the timeline, program eligibility, and the EL module. So let's start with program eligibility. Who's eligible to be a group facilitator? Luckily, this program allows all current students at the St. George campus to facilitate. Related experience is recommended, but not required. To apply, you should contact Lanique at lanique.wilson@utoronto.ca before the new year for more information. If you want more information about your own eligibility or application, please consult the CAGS info packet, where we lay out the expectations and deadlines very clearly. The selection process is quite short, and on January 8th, you can expect to hear back from us if you have been selected to be a group facilitator. So how do I register to be a group member? If you meet the basic criteria that we already laid out, you can log into CLNX and punch in your student information. From there, go to the left side of the screen and click on Experiential Learning. Find the Community Action Group's Winter 2021 tab and click Enroll. From there, you can follow the prompts and register. Remember that the Experiential Learning application is only for group members and not facilitators. You can apply to be a group facilitator and register to be a group member if you would like to. If you are selected as a group facilitator, we will automatically remove your group member application from the system. But if you're interested in being group member, if you're not selected as a group facilitator, please apply in both places. I'm just gonna let you guys pause for a second so that you can check out CLNX, go to the experiential learning module, and navigate away. All right, let's move on. So what is the EL module for group members? Your hub for all program-related matters is in the EL module. This is where you can see where you are in the program and access all of the resources that you will need to successfully complete this project. So log on to CLNX and head over to the EL module. This is where you can access the information package, info sessions, and where group selections will be organized. Again, this only applies to group members, not for group facilitators. So again, I'm going to take a pause and give you a second to navigate the EL module and just get acquainted with it. All right, let's move on. So unfortunately, there is waitlisting because this is a very high interest program. And unfortunately, that means that some folks might have to be waitlisted before moving on to the next step. If you receive the message highlighted in yellow on this slide, you have been waitlisted. This doesn't mean that you won't be accepted though. And if a spot becomes available, you will hear back from us by January 29th about being a group member. Again, this only applies to group members and not for group facilitators. Here we have a basic timeline of what you can expect from the program. As you already know, the application is due on January 5th, and you can expect to hear back from us in the affirmative by January 8th. The Equity and Working with Communities workshop will happen from January 11th to the 22nd, and group selections will be due in the EL module by the 22nd as well for group members. From the 25th to the 29th, group assignments and communications will go out, and you can start meeting as of February 1st. Between then and reading week, you can potentially meet with your community partners, but those meetings will officially take place during the reading week, which is February 15th to 19th. This is also your professional development week for the program, so we want you to take use of that time. Finally, your plan of action will be due on February 26th. In the first half of March, we do mandatory check-ins to check your progress. On March 26th, your group meetings end and you can join us for a reflection and a celebration on one of the days listed above. This day is still to be determined, but it will fall on March 30th, 31st, or April 1st. So get ready to celebrate.
By January, you can review and select a challenge identified by a community partner. We will also host a group meeting in which you will discuss with the community partner about the challenge. Please make sure you're available during that meeting to get to know more about the community partner and their challenge. If you need to change groups after you have selected a challenge, please contact Lanique at lanique.wilson@utoronto.ca to do so.
Okay, so now for the next steps. If you are currently on the waiting list, you will be informed if you have received a spot or not by January 22nd, 2021. So we are trying our best to try and make sure that most of you can get in. So keep that in mind. And group selection will open up after the Equity and Working with Community session, which will be available online by January 11th. Please select your groups by the January the 22nd latest. Also, an important note when selecting your group is that the group meeting times will be displayed alongside the details of the challenge. So before you select the challenge you want to take on with a group, please make sure that you are available for the group meeting dates and times. And around the week of January 25th to January 29th, you will meet with your group facilitators and speak about your next steps that your group will take in order to support these community organizations. And your group meetings will begin during the week of February 1st to February 12th, 2021. But until then, keep checking your emails for updates and reminders. And that concludes the Community Action Group's Winter 2021 information session. Now, we really hope that you all have a wonderful and meaningful experience within this program. And once again, we wanted to thank you for your interest in joining this initiative. We look forward to seeing some amazing work from you all, and we're so excited. Do keep an eye out for the next training session, which will be about equity and working with communities. Thank you all for listening, and have a great day or night, depending on where you are. Thank you. Bye.